Studio 41 Football Recap Live is brought to you by Studio 41 Home Design Showroom. 13 locations, studio41.com. Vertical, in business since 1985. Chicago's chimney experts for chimney cleanings, masonry work, gas logs. Verticalchimney.com. Your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Chevy dealers, the official truck partner of the Chicago Bears. Hooters. At Hooters, originality isn't just one thing, it's everything. World-famous wings and more, served up by the iconic Hooters girl. Hooters, always original. Dr. Pepper, an American original, just like our Chicago Bears. Grab an ice-cold, refreshing Dr. Pepper today at a McDonald's near you. Special Olympics Illinois. Special Olympics Illinois, so I did. Learn more at SOILL.org. Apt. For the best appliances for football season, shop at Apt. Pleasing people since 1936. Find them at apt.com. Four Seasons, heating, plumbing, air conditioning, and electric. For all the right reasons, Four Seasons. Hey, good evening. Welcome into Studio 41 Football Recap Live. That's Tom Waddle. We got our guy Olin back with us this week. And I'm a little annoyed with Olin because he was on the score saying it's going to be a blowout, and I didn't get a text. I wanted a text. I would have made a play.
Yeah, it's just when you watch the film, I don't know how you guys felt, but when you watch the Lions play the Packers, you thought, man, the Packers are a good football team, right? Like right now, they're playing at a very high level. And we all know things go up and down during the football season. But right now, when you turn on the Green Bay Packers film and the details and the way they play defense, and then, Matt LaFleur, he's always tough on offense, matches up well with any defense quarter he goes against. And then you watch the Bears. And I know we've been saying this for years, but we turn the Bears film on. The number one thing you see, and you can go through all the details you want, and we've been saying this for a long time, is they're trying to figure out actually how to win football games and what it means. And they talk a lot about it. They talk a lot about the right things, about details, intensity, focus, things they have to do. Like today, I think this week they said Ben Johnson said that he's going to watch guys compete off the ball when they don't have the ball in their hands. I would love if the Chicago Bears guys would do something first and then tell us about it. Like, why don't you try doing it first before you tell us how you're going to be intense, tough, focus on details, and if the guy doesn't have the ball, we're going to make sure he's going to compete. Try do it first and then tell us you worked on it. I see the guys are doing that because we worked on it 2 weeks ago. Tom, I just think you're watching a football team on film, doesn't know how to win, doesn't know how to practice, doesn't know how to prepare, doesn't know how to do much of anything when you watch them on film, even versus the Minnesota Vikings, who we all saw got blown out by the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, I so much of what you say resonates with me. Look, I think you go back to week one, and you saw two teams that I think were very unhappy with how they played. Obviously, as you mentioned, Olin, the Lions got dog walked by a really good Packers team. I don't think the Lions were as bad as they showed, but the Packers made them look bad. And you saw a Bears team that had a game in their hands, and they let it go. They let go of the rope. I said last week, I think we're going to learn a lot about this Bears team on Sunday in Detroit. How do you respond to the adversity that you brought upon yourself? A game that you had, collective collapse. Are you going to come out pissed off? You're going to come out focused? You're going to come out trying to get the taste out of your mouth? Or are you going to come out still a little, gun shy and a little bit shell shocked by what transpired on Monday night? And I said, I think we're going to, these teams will define themselves. And both teams were embarrassed. One team went to work, came back out and got that bad taste out of their mouth. And the Bears are a team that walked out. Look, you give up 511 yards and 52 points, you're going to be 0-2.
Mm-hmm. That game the other day, and then I went back and I actually listened to Olin, and you made some valid points. What was it, though, that jumped out at you before the game where you went, blowout?
Yeah, it's pretty simple, really. I watched a team in the Lions that got beat by the Packers. I watched a team with the Bears who beat themselves.
Right.
Right. And I just, when you watch that on film, that scares you, right? It's okay. It's preparation, it's penalties, it's mistakes, and we saw it continue. You don't. I mean, Tom knows this. You don't fix that in 1 week. That never gets. When you do that 12 penalties, when you have those kind of detailed problems, they don't get fixed in 1 week, right? Like that. That means, like we talked about last year, that means it's been going on for a while. And then you saw this week, right? Like we had coverage problems, and I know Jalen Johnson is out, and it's just there were coverage breakdowns, the communication breakdowns, and they're even on the offensive line. There's communication breakdowns, and I'm just watching guys like miscount, point the mic, point the wrong mic. The run game was a little better this week, but taking a step where they were from, Cap and Tom, I didn't think they could take that big of a step to beat the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, I you know what, Olin, when the season began, I was like, you know what, it's not about optimism or pessimism for me. It's about expectations. And when you go out and you spend $80-90 million guaranteed and give a couple draft picks to try to improve the interior of your offensive line with Joe Tooney and Drew Dahlman and Jonah Jackson, and you draft a tight end 10th overall, and you draft a wide receiver 39, and you gave DJ money last year, and you drafted Caleb number 1 the year before, and Rome number 9 the year before, and then you flip it over to the other side, and you give a Dangbo $32 million guaranteed, and you give Grady Jarrett $29 million guaranteed, and you spend a second-round pick on Javon Dexter, and you gave up a second-round pick for Montez Sweat and gave him $100 million. When Olin, in my world, when you put those types of resources into your team, you've invested that amount of money in those picks, your asses better win 9 games. So, like, I mean, like when I say to you, I think that if you do all of what I just described, you better win more games than you lose. And if you don't, then you need to find somebody that does a better job at making decisions and making tough decisions.
Okay, I want to give you guys, I want to get your thoughts on it. It's the Dr. Pepper play of the game. Isaac Tesla, a 29-yard catch down the right sideline as time was winding down. And then the clock debacle that followed. By the way, Dr. Pepper, an American original, just like our Chicago Bears, pleasing your taste buds. Since 1885, Dr. Pepper is a unique combination of 23 flavors, a winning formula that football fans love. Grab an ice cold and refreshing Dr. Pepper at a McDonald's near you. What was your guys' take? I keep calling Isaac Tesla the modern day Tommy Waddle. And Tommy's like, he runs faster. He's 4 inches taller. That was a hell of a catch, man.
That was a great catch. Listen, and you know what's funny about that? Grady Jackson was hitting the quarterback when he let that ball go. So he had pressure on the quarterback. They just got beat in the secondary, right? He got there. I didn't have a stopwatch, but I do 1,001, 1,002. He was on Goff in 3 seconds. He had beat the right guard, and he was there, and he's putting pressure on the quarterback. The ball just got up. The guy made a one-handed catch. The ref calls him out of bounds. There's no way he can take that back. As soon as he does his arms, it's over. It's a bad call, but he calls him out of bounds.
Yeah,
Tommy,
I mean,
are you very similar to Isaac Tesla?
Yeah, I'm 6'4", 215 pounds, around a 4.3 40. Yeah, you kiss my ass, Cap.
That kid's awesome.
He made 1 catch, Cap. Let's not go too far.
Last week he made a great catch.
He's made 2 catches.
So what is he? Has 2 catches, and you got him awesome.
That kid's really
You loosely throw around the word awesome. I tell you that much. First, I saw him once in a game, and I never saw him again.
I like that kid. There's something about that kid.
Yeah, you and Ryan Pose.
Wow. Hey, let me start asking the questions, because I've been waiting for Olin to join the show, because I am so interested in your opinion on the upgrades they made on the offensive line and how they can be. I actually, again, and it's an untrained eye for me, I thought the interior of their offensive line was better this week than they were against the Vikings. And that's, that's easy to say, because I think the Vikings front is a little more tough to handle, a little more difficult to handle than the Lions front. But with the upgrades they made, Olin, how much better can they be up front with those guys?
It's a really good question. I tell you what, when I was watching the film today, um, Joe Tooney is such a good football player, man. He is a technician. Like, he is fun to watch. He's always doing the right thing. His hands are great. He's just really, really good at playing left guard. Jonah Jackson, we've talked about this a lot, about what I thought about them moving him to right guard instead of left guard. And he's struggling a little bit over there at right guard. And I went back and watched his film at Detroit just to see his footwork and what looked different, and the way he got into his stance and the way he got out of his stance. And he did look different. He did look different in Detroit at left guard than he does at right guard. It doesn't mean he can't learn right guard. And like you guys know, Darnell Wright is incredibly talented. Right now, a little inconsistent, but he does things. He had a pull on a crack play where he ran a guy over. Dahlman is a specialist to me. By that, I mean, he reminds me of Tommy Nalen. Remember Tom Nalen for the Denver Broncos?
Yeah.
People can look him up. Really good center.
Yeah.
He played for Alex Gibbs, who was the outside zone specialist. He's the outside zone specialist. He's really good at it, man. The 120-yard run they had in the first half, he reached that nose. That was a beautifully blocked play by the Chicago Bears. Braxton Jones is always going to be Braxton Jones, right? They just he can get overwhelmed sometimes. Just does not. Radakovich, he coached the Steelers for a long time. He would say guys with long arms are either really good with their arms or they're like octopuses. They can't fight in his space. And he's one of those guys. He never uses a punch. He never uses his hands, and he needs to work on that a lot if he wants to become the player that he thinks he can be. But Tom, they have a chance to be really good, a lot better than they have been in the first two games. They have a chance to be a really good offensive line. I think that left tackle, they would always have to plan to give him a little bit of help in there.
Both you guys could answer this for me. Why are we seeing, like, again, I didn't play center. I'm not going to the Hall of Fame. But when you come out of the locker room, do you guys usually have an idea if you've got the ball to start the second half? Do you have a pretty good idea what the first play is going to be when you come out on the field?
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure. You definitely know what the first play is going to be when you come on the field. And that's what I'm talking about. When you turn the Bears film on, you say, well, the Lions are going to blow them away, because you see things like that, right? You see mistakes, and you can't make those mistakes in the NFL.
You mean like the false start on the first play of the second half?
A false start, face mask, holdings, you name it, they're doing it, right? Fumbles, getting, quarterback sneak, guys. You got to crowd the line of scrimmage on a quarterback sneak. If you turn the film on from the sideline, the right side of the line is a yard off the ball. You can't give any room there in a quarterback sneak. And look, Caleb wasn't great at it. And the one thing I thought to myself is, I wonder how many under center quarterback sneaks this kid has actually run, right? I'm sure that's been mentioned on the radio a million times this week. Like, how many has he, did he run any in high school, any in college? So if you count them, how many quarterback sneaks has he actually, and the worst thing I hate is, it's just a quarterback sneak. No, there's details there, everything, man. They're and Tom Brady's out there talking about it, and you can find it anywhere and watch film and learn how to do it. But even that, for me, right? Like, man, why is the right side of the line? I think Theo Benedict came in the game. He was playing tight end for the quarterback sneak. He was almost 2 yards in the backfield, right? I mean, it's just the line. If this one guy's off, the line just continues to bow back, and that's where Caleb went on the first one. That's why he had no room for the first down. So details like that immediately, to me, is a team that is still, the coaches are learning how to coach, the people in the building are learning how to win, and the players are learning how to focus.
And I look at their decision too, guys, with, they had two healthy scratches from two of their second-round picks this year and a third-round pick from last year. Now, I get it. You can't have 10 linemen dressed because you need other positions out there so you can play special teams. But you would think that the guys that would be sat down would have been Theo Benedict and maybe Newman, right? The 6th-round pick from.
But those guys both dressed and had snaps, and you got Amagaji, Ozzie Trapillo, and Shamar Turner.
But my point,
those guys dressed.
But my point is, and at the end of the day, the coaches determined that the right guys to have in uniform were Newman and Benedict. But what I'm saying to you is what does that tell you about your evaluation when the guys you were sitting down were a 3rd-round pick a year ago and a 2nd-round pick this year? Do you know that we looked this up? And if you, that's just on the O-line. But if you add Shamar Turner was a 2nd-round pick as well, you guys realize in the first 2 games of this season, there have only been 5 2nd-round picks who are healthy scratches. So guys that weren't out there because of anything other than injury. 3 of them are Bears because Shamar Turner's been a healthy scratch twice and Ozzy's been a healthy scratch once. The other 2 is a pass rusher from Indianapolis this past week. And the other guy's Judkins, the running back from Cleveland,
who had some issues.
All kinds of had legal issues in the offseason, didn't sign his contract after week 1. So the Bears basically, for all intents and purposes, have had 75% of the second-round picks who have been healthy scratches. Now, that may be getting way in the weeds, but you get what I'm saying, Olin, is that Are you evaluating correctly when your second-round tackle in Ozzie Trapillo and your third-round pick from Yale in Amagaji last year are healthy scratches, and you've got a 6th-round pick and a free agent from last year? Those are the guys that the coaching staff have evaluated and said they're more valuable to us on this Sunday.
Yeah, it tells you that a guy making $13 million a year doesn't care who you draft, right? He cares who they think the best football players are. I tell you guys this: I wouldn't be shocked if Javon Dexter is not a starter this week. I wouldn't be shocked if Andrew Billings is starting there at nose guard, and they move Jonathan Ford up, and they move Dexter out to 3 technique to back up Grady Jackson. That's what when I watch the film, that's what I see, right? And if the coaches are just watching the film and going off of talent, going off of performance alone, I think they'll see the same thing, right? And that's why we're seeing. We always say, okay, where are your young players that are about to be Pro Bowlers, about to be blue chip football players? Those are the guys that lead your team, take your team into the future, right? I mean, as great as these guys are, Tooney and Grady Jackson and Byard, who's on the show and does a great job, why are they all your team captains, right? Your team captains should be young players in their prime who are in your building, who are leading your building, right? We had Reuben Brown and those guys all come in and help us win a lot of football games, but they weren't our team captains. Right, they weren't the guys leading the team. They were the younger guys who were making Pro Bowls and were playing really high level football. And when I look at this team, besides Jalen Johnson, who's made a great play, and sadly now he's out because he's a great football player. But who are you guys that are about to ascend when you watch that first 2 weeks of film? Who are the guys that say, man, that guy's going to end up being a Pro Bowl, all pro type player? And I know they can. I know it's really early in the season. But the film that like you guys know, man, I don't care what you say. The film talks to you. The film you watch, you don't see it right now.
And don't get me wrong, Cap, real quick. Don't get me wrong. I'm not suggesting that the coaching staff made the wrong decision keeping, those 2 guys active. Mm-hmm. That's the way it should be. That's the way I hoped it would have been back in my day when I was an undrafted free agent. The point I'm trying to make is, you invested all of that time in these high draft picks on guys that actually aren't even dressed on Sunday. Mm-hmm. And I applaud the coach for actually putting the best guys in uniform, but it's just a systemic issue that leads you to I think, to be concerned going forward.
All right, let's take a look at our Caleb Williams numbers. We call Winging It, brought to you by our great partners at Hooters, originalhooters.com for one of 11 Chicago area locations. We'll be at the Downers Grove Hooters October 7th. Caleb, 19 of 30, 207 yards, 2 tutties, a pick, and he ran 5 times for 27 yards. I watched the film with a different eye than you 2 guys do. I thought he was better this week than he was last week. I thought his second half last week was horrific. But I did think he was a little bit better this week. He just looked more comfortable in the pocket to me. Am I wrong?
No, I thought he was better as well. I'm interested to hear what Olin has to say. I thought the key to me was his feet. Watch his feet. When his feet are quiet and they're underneath him, that usually means the rest of his mechanics are going to be more dialed in, which means his accuracy is going to be there and he's trusting what he's seeing. I thought he played more on time. I thought he played more in structure. There's still mistakes, it's not perfect yet, but what you're looking for is progress. The interception was, again, as I say, you got to leave your cape in the locker room and not try to be a superhero. That was a superhero play. The other interception that was called back because of the hit to the helmet was also one of those plays that you can't have. But I agree with you. I think once they got to the second half, and they had a bad first drive in the second half. They went 3 and out again.
You went false start on the first play.
Yeah, you can't have, obviously. But once you get to be 31-14 and then 38-14, it's really, for me, it's hard to evaluate a quarterback and how he plays inside the structure of an offense, because it's just a jailbreak and an avalanche at that point.
Olin?
Yeah, before I get into Caleb, I want to let you know, Cap, that I do some radio around town, and they usually like share the reads, for us. That way everybody can share the money. But you go ahead, take them all. Take all the reads for your, for all those sponsors you got now.
I just try to make this as easy on you guys as possible.
Hey, listen, I'm just telling you the way most times it works on radio. Anyway, I agree with Tom. I thought he was better this week. I thought they pared down the offense and repeated a few plays. So he was very comfortable in there. His arm talent is amazing, like we know. So when his feet are right and he gets it out, he can even be a tick late and that ball still gets there, man. It's pretty amazing to watch him throw a football now. In the second half, they were bringing 4 from a side and he never saw it, which worries me a little bit. He never just hit Cole Kmet on a couple of hot routes where he was wide open. To me, those are pretty obvious blitzes in NFL. The Detroit Lions, mostly man coverage. So you go to Rome, right, one-on-one with a DB that he can beat with DJ Moore, them all on the field. But I definitely thought he was better. Again, he's here. I think he has the kind of talent. I think we're the number 1 pick in the draft. You're a quarterback. I'm sure people have said this a million times, but you're a quarterback you win because of, right? You're not a quarterback you win with. I still thought he played more like a quarterback you win with instead of quarterback you win because of, right? And there wasn't a lot of to his credit, a lot of people probably asked him, but there wasn't a lot of great plays out there that he made, right? There are a few really good throws. And, there was a 12-yard out route to Roma Dunze, I think in the first quarter. I mean, that ball was zipped in there. The quarterback looked like he thought he read it and he was shocked how fast it got there, right? So better this week and just hopefully it just keeps going and going. And seems like Ben Johnson, I don't know what you thought, Tom and Cap, but learned his quarterback a little bit in that first game and kind of gave him things he was comfortable with.
Yeah, and I think you made a good point too, Olin. Like, they repeated plays. They threw that, that over-the-top post dig route at least 3 or 4 times. And when you have some success, I think right now they're trying to get him to feel good about himself and good about what they're asking him to do. If I was a defensive coordinator, I'd be throwing them a ton of different disguises and looks and make him beat me more so with his football acumen versus his physical skill, because he obviously can do some things. And a lot of guys, I said this last week, Olin, he'll make 2 or 3 throws that only a handful of guys in the league can make. But sometimes because his footwork gets out of whack and his mechanics get out of whack, he'll miss 4 or 5 throws that every quarterback in the league can make. So that's the inconsistency that exists now. And I think that, this is the issue that Ben Johnson kind of finds himself having to clean up. And I got to say, there've been coaching mistakes. There really have. Nobody's absolved. I think the way they've lost the 2 games is kind of more of a hurtful thing for me than the fact that they're 0-2. But I still believe in the coaching staff, and I still think that, Ben is the right guy to try to get the most out of Caleb.
All right, let me ask you guys a question, because Ben leaves Detroit. He comes to Chicago. Here's what Brian Branch said after the game. He said,
that guy's a hell of a football player, Cap.
Yeah,
he was fun to watch on Sunday.
He is
man.
Outstanding. He said, Ben Johnson betrayed Detroit. We were very motivated. We knew coming into this game that this was personal. Really, all these games are. But this one felt like we were betrayed from the staff that left to the players. Do you guys truly believe that? The guy got $65 million. I mean, what's he supposed to do? Take another job?
I'm glad it worked for Brian Branch, and I think deep down he doesn't believe a word he just said. Right? He would betray too for the biggest safety nickelback contract. He could come
play for the Bears
in the
if they give him
right?
a big deal.
He would be leaving too. But that tells you what Dan Campbell was preaching all week in his meetings, and it tells you that. And it looked like they played with a chip on their shoulder, and they were trying to put as many points as humanly possible on the Chicago Bears. And the one thing that I'm sure irritated him, Tom, because I thought about what irritated me as a player, was the fact that they played so bad in Green Bay, and it was because this one guy left. Like, no one else had anything to do with it.
Right. Yeah, I think that was part of it too. And I think, look, I think they convinced themselves that Ben is an evil person, because he didn't just leave for another job. He left for a job inside the division. Like, I think he probably would have felt better if he went to New Orleans or maybe Cleveland or whatever the case may be, but he left them to stay in the division. But I'm with you, Cap. Like, I mean, let's be honest. He was stuck there because Dan Campbell's going to be the head coach.
Yeah, he's not going anywhere.
They were going to promote him. I thought it was interesting too, and I almost laughed. Like, they're bringing the house up 30 with 4 minutes to go.
Oh, going for it on fourth down.
They were looking to make a statement, and I loved what Ben had to say when in the post-game press conference, and someone said, do you feel like they were trying to run it up on you? And he goes, what was Dan Campbell supposed to do? Kick a field goal? They don't kick field goals. It's up to us to stop them. So I was glad to hear that. I wasn't glad that they had 52 hung on them, but listen, this is big boy football. You don't want them to score 52. Keep them out of your end zone.
Right. You never want to look like you have a college score playing in the NFL, right? You never want to go, nobody ever wants to go through 52 points and you only score 21. It's just not, the game was over by really when they got the late touchdown by Cap's guy who's going to make all pro this year.
The Chevy drive of
Tesla.
the game, we could have picked a number of them. I mean, Detroit was going up and down the field, but we picked that last one at the end of the first half. The official truck partner of the Chicago Bears, 8 plays, 76 yards. It took $153. They get the break Olin talked about when the official called him out of bounds, and he really wasn't. So they ran 10 seconds off, but they had a stopped clock with 6 seconds. They went for it, and not great coverage by Tyreek Stevenson. They get a touchdown, and it's 28-14. And from that point on, it was ball game over. That was a classic drive. The Jared Goff looked really good. Didn't get a lot of pressure on him. I get it. But he made some big throws and then, of course, hit that deep one to Jamison Williams where it looked like the Bears were at Lake Forest on that play.
It was carbon copy from the game against Minnesota. The Bears really put a nice drive together to take a little bit of the momentum away. I think they cut it to 21, as you said, to 14, and then the defense just can't get a stop. And think about that. Like, you were getting the ball to start the second half of the second consecutive week. You score, you give up a score, and then you come out of halftime and you go 3 and out. Like, it was Groundhog Day watching them, do what they did at the end of the first half and then what they did at the start of the second half. So, again, I think it's something that Olin mentioned. You got one team that has learned how to win because they've gone out and won football games, and you have another team right now that has no idea how to win. Somebody asked me an interesting question this week, and my answer sounded kind of stupid, but it is really simple. How do you learn how to win in the NFL? And my answer was, I don't think there's a magic formula. You will learn how to win by winning. When it comes to crunch time, that's when you're not making mistakes. You're actually stepping forward and making plays. But outside of that, I don't think there's this magic formula other than being at your best when it's most important.
All right, we're going to take quick. Go ahead.
Real fast, Cap. It was funny because when I was watching the game, even when Detroit scored, I was thinking, okay, it was 4 minutes and 48 seconds left. I said, okay, 2 for 1, right? That's what we all want, right? 2 for 1 at the end of a half. And then on first down, I was thinking run the ball because I didn't want to give Goff back the ball to score again. And they scored immediately on first down, and they gave the Lions the ball back with over 1:50 seconds left. And I thought, I know you don't want to stop a team from scoring and be scared, but when your defense is not good, that's some of the things I think about Ben can learn is that he's a great play caller when you watch his play calls, but the management part of the game, right? He does management now. He's the head coach. And that moment, that offense on the sideline better than anybody. You better not leave any time on that clock for them to run down and score points.
I think they are so concerned they're going to F something up that they're like, I'm going to take the touchdown wherever I can.
I know what you mean. I get what you mean.
Time management be damned. We'll get to that at some point. But right now, we make too many effing mistakes. So we got to find a way just to get in the end zone. I'm right. I'm with you, Olin. A more mature team, no question. You got to learn how to score with regard to the clock. But this group, the fire drill that it's been, part of me says, hey, I understand why you did what you did.
No doubt.
We'll take a quick timeout. We will come back and continue because I want to ask the guys. Ben Johnson said something at the podium yesterday about he didn't mention names, certain guys maybe not expending the effort that he wanted down the field. And on the tape, there's a particular guy who does not look like he's fully engaged down the field. I'm going to ask you guys about that when we come right back. This is Studio 41, Football Recap Live.
Our family had been talking about redoing the kitchen for a long time. Studio 41 had all the pieces I wanted.
With Studio 41, we found their prices competitive. They helped us stay on a budget.
They spent a lot of time with me in the studio, and I got to touch and feel things.
Our big fear was if you go online, who's standing behind the product? Studio 41 had the best selection, and they took her ideas and brought it to life.
It was everything I dreamed it could be.
Visit studio41.com to find a showroom near you.
A brand new segment called Recap Recipes. I'm Lauren Screeden here with the one and only Cap at our local Jewel Osco.
We're gonna make buffalo chicken sliders that are easy and delicious.
My favorite. Let's go.
Let's go. We have chicken. There you
You're not
go.
gonna put it in a bag? You just raw dog it in the cart? That's gross.
Raw dog it right in the cart. We need ranch packets.
For me.
We have to keep you happy.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Ranch
2 for
seasoning.
1.
Right there.
A BOGO.
Also need our slider buns. These right here are perfect.
Oh, great.
Okay?
All right.
Slider buns. Okay, now we do need the Frank's Red Hot.
Red Hot Wings or Red Hot Original?
Red Hot Original.
Oh, you're an OG. Okay.
I'm an OG, so I think one will be enough.
Okay.
I was gonna get 2, but I think one's enough.
We can always come back. What else do we need?
All right, what else do we have to get?
There is one thing that we absolutely need,
What is that?
and it's just for you. Tide. Because I know you're gonna spill that sauce all down your shirt.
Wow. We checking out? You're
Paper or
finally
plastic?
done? I'll go plastic.
Good.
It's great.
We already committed.
When you have to take the dogs on a walk. Way
That's
better.
so true. Oh,
Scanning
did we
error
not
has been
scan?
detected.
We're under review. Help is on the way.
You got a credit card?
No, I seem to have forgotten my wallet.
I'll take care of it.
Make sure you zoom on the credit
like
card
my
number
wife.
so we get that. Perfect. I will help carry the bags because, I'm not going to make you do all the work.
We're good to go. All right, time to make our flight. You ready?
Let's go. Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, gosh.
How amazingly good is that?
Perfect amount of kick.
It is simply spectacular.
Really
Take
good.
that.
All right, our apt player of the game, Jared Goff. The dude was ridiculous. 334 yards, 5 touchdowns. And unfortunately, I had to play him in my family fantasy league, so I lost to my kids. Not good. Jared Goff was simply magnificent. What was your guys' take on not only how well Goff played, but they got no pressure on the dude? I know Olin talked about Grady Jarrett getting 1 on the catch by Tesla, but there was, what, is Montez Sweat on a effing milk carton? That dude needs a mask and a gun to get his paycheck. What does he do?
Well, Montez Sweat, I think we talk about a lot, right? Like, first of all, I bet my daughter Leah, who's watching, she turns 10 today. So happy birthday to her.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Leah, because I'm getting scolded and I haven't said it yet. So she was giving me grief. But we talk a lot about matchups and who much is given, much is expected. You talk about Montez Sweat's $98 million contract. Well, he was going against a tackle who makes a $112 million contract, and the other tackle's got a $60 million contract. So for me, when I went to the game, the matchup was more on the inside for the Bears to win and try to get pressure up front, right? They're really good, the Lions. Everybody knows Penei Sewell, Noah Sewell's brother. I thought it was cool. Noah Sewell and Penei Sewell ran into each other about 3 or 4 times, and they didn't give each other any kind of break. They were trying to kill each other, which is awesome. But, yeah, he had a tough matchup, Cap. You would say Penei Sewell is probably the best tackle in the NFL, right? Their best right tackle, and Taylor Decker's pretty damn good too. Yep. So Montez Sweat, yes, we need more from him. We needed more from him against the Vikings. Deo had a big day against the backup, but he's faced 2 good tackles, guys who make a lot of money, and he needs a little bit of. I'm not giving him a break. He's got to get there, but he needs a little bit of help from his other guys up front.
I thought the first thing Olin was going to say is not only are you selling the sponsorships and the commercial ads, you're starring in them now as well.
There you go.
I leave that to you, Tom, man. You know what I mean? Although mine and your salary hasn't changed. Everything else went up.
Exactly. Exactly. My question going forward.
Byron, how much he makes.
Exactly. What does Dennis Allen do? I mean, Dennis Allen, you know what, I like Dennis Allen. Dennis Allen, you know, as a defensive coordinator, has got a very accomplished resume in this league. You got no Jalen Johnson. You're probably going to be without Kyler Gordon, no TJ Edwards. Your pass rush has been, albeit against a couple of, you know, really good tackles last week, it hasn't been good enough across the board. If you're DA, can you afford to continue to be this aggressive guy that leaves your secondary man coverage? I don't think you can. Tyreek Stevenson has not taken that step that everyone was hoping that he would take and reestablish himself. He's a liability in man coverage. Nashawn Wright made the play against the Vikings in week 1, but we saw in preseason and we saw when he came in for Jalen, there's some issues there. So what does DA do, you know, this week against the Dallas team that can throw the hell out of the ball with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens? And, you know, Dak Prescott is an accomplished veteran. I understand the concept of next man up. This is my scheme, somebody else. But at this point, Olin, do you you say to yourself, look, this is what I normally do, but I have to make some adjustments here, or otherwise we're going to give up 45.
Yeah, and the thing is, when you, like you're saying, Tom, when you watch the Bears, you're thinking, okay, where are the answers actually going to come from, right? Like what, like you're saying, what does DA do with this group that he has? And you know, like it's interesting. Joe Buck was talking about his meeting with the Bears with Dennis Allen before the game against the Vikings, and he said something interesting. He said that Dennis Allen said that, you know, we don't have a premier pass rusher, and I thought that's interesting to say for a guy you gave $98 million to, right? So we have to create pass rush. And I thought immediately right there, like, man, that is a huge statement after trading for a guy and giving him that kind of money. So with Jalen Johnson out, man, with the struggles they had at cornerback, hopefully Kyler Gordon gets healthy at some point. TJ Edwards has the hamstring. He's going to have to get creative in a Flores type of way, right? Brian Flores type of way, find himself maybe a Ivan Pace Jr., a linebacker who can run over running backs. And you got to just find a way to create pass rush, because as those wide DBs have shown, they are not going to keep up with the best wide receivers in the NFL.
By the way, Vinay asks, is Terrell Smith close at all? He's out for the year. Torres patellar tendon. Tommy, watching the film today, I was at home. I put it on, and I had that in my head. Ben Johnson had said, we're going to find out who wants to give effort this week. And it looks to me like DJ Moore is not like all in downfield block. It just doesn't look right. Am I wrong?
There are moments for sure. I think DJ's, you know, when his number's been called this year, I think that he's been more engaged and I think he's made plays. There was one wide receiver screen that I think they threw to Zacchaeus, who I'm a really big fan of. I think that kid plays hard. He knows what he's doing. He's very reliable. Where I thought both DJ and Rome did not do him any favors. Like, you know, Ben Johnson has said, no block, no rock. You know what? This group cried about wanting to be held accountable. So hold them accountable. Like, if you're not going to block for your fellow wide receiver on a wide receiver screen and you don't give a shit, then you know what? I'm going to find somebody that does. And I think that, you know, early in a coach's career, he can have that liberty and that opportunity to make those kinds of decisions and say, I'm going to play a lesser talented player who's going to give me better effort. And I'm glad I heard him say it. But as Olin, you know, Olin mentioned at the top of the show, I'd rather see them do it and then talk about it afterwards versus talk about it and then do it. But at the very least, I'm just glad that it's being recognized. And if I was a player, look, there are no, you know, with a new coaching staff coming in, there are no sacred cows out there at all. Like, I would be on my P's and my Q's, and I'd be busting my ass in practice. I'd be taking no plays off, or else there's a good chance you could find yourself playing for somebody else at the end of the year, or even before the trade deadline.
Yeah, I watched the film, Cap, and it's interesting, right? Because like you're saying, I wouldn't say he's going crazy out there, but the cornerback he's going against, DJ Reed, he's not even trying to make a tackle.
Yeah.
So they're both doing the same thing, right? And there was one where I think he was supposed to seal the edge, but I don't know if he knew the count. And Brian Branch came free and tackled Swift, I think, in the backfield. So I don't know if that's what he's talking about. I'll tell the truth. I thought he was giving a lot more effort than Rome Odunze was without the ball in his hands. When I saw the film and on blocking on screens and stuff. So I don't really know. When I watched the film, I honestly thought he was talking about all of them. I thought he was talking about Rome Odunze. I thought he was talking about DJ Moore. I thought he was talking about Colston Loveland. I thought he was talking about those. If I watched it, they're just, I think Antoine Randall, I think he has the assistant head coach designation. I could be wrong, but
He does.
he came a lot. Yeah. And same with Swift, right? Like right now they're only getting the minimum amount of yards they can get, right? Like there was a play that was outside, I think it was in the second half, and he ran out of bounds when he could have got 3 more yards by just turning it up. Right. So like I wish they would have saved some of that intensity and toughness they used on the Dolphins. I wish they would have saved it for in season. I think they wasted it all. Right. I think they wasted all their intensity and toughness for camp instead of just coming to the like that's what I'm saying about continuously talking about stuff and then not seeing it. Right. We heard about details. We heard about intensity and toughness. We heard about all these things. I haven't seen it yet. I'm not saying they can't do it, but then now Ben Johnson has picked something else. Well, now we're going to hold everybody accountable. Well, it's a slippery slope in the NFL, man. Like, there's only so much talented guys out there, right? There's only so many DJ Moores and Rome Odunzes and those guys who, like, you put the ball in DJ Moore's hands, guys. This guy's dynamic, man. I mean, he's a very good football player. So, yeah, you coach him and stuff, but I'm going to put DJ Moore on the bench for who? Right. Luther Burden wasn't blocking anybody either. And please, everybody, stop telling me about the miniature guy who's working at City Mill from the Buffalo Bills that he blocked on the goal line. Like, I really don't care about that guy. I know we blew that whole story up, but sometimes you got to look at who they're blocking, right? Like, he blew up a guy who was like 140 pounds, and we blew it up in preseason, right? And that's my problem with the Bears. It's like, I watch the film and see something, and then I hear them talk, and they're seeing something else. And I don't know if they know what's really going on there.
Yeah, I don't. I think you've seen a better version of DJ Moore the first 2 weeks of the season than you saw at times last year. I agree with that 100%. You got to decide this is what you want to do, fellas, or else you're better off doing something else. I mean, this is not a halfway sport. It just ain't.
By the way, Vinay says they didn't take Jalen Carter because they didn't trust their culture. And here we are years later. They still have a culture problem. I mean.
Well, and the important thing, Cap, is the culture problem is with the penalties and with the execution and with the things they're doing. So by that, I'm saying the culture problem's on film. Right. It's not like I don't really care about much else. I just care about the team I'm watching and the way they're executing. And we heard them all last year. Tom mentioned already, like the guy coming to town last week, they rolled him up this week. They rolled him up real nice and threw him under the bus. And I said, look, man, this guy just wasn't coaching us to the standard we want to be coached to. And then the first 2 weeks, and we got to give them time. I know that. But the first 2 weeks is discipline that they've lacked. It's attention to details that it's the things they talk about that is the reason why they're not winning games.
Do you think, Tommy first and then Olin, do you think week one, we've heard, I like Ben. Let me just say that. I'm glad he's our coach. He takes a shot at Matt LaFleur in the offseason about how we're going to beat your ass. And then we have to watch the Lions and the Packers, and all we hear is, this team's not going to be any good because Ben Johnson's no longer there, like Dan Campbell's a boob. And then Brian Branch says, we were ready for him. You could tell they were trying to run it up. And now this week he's got Eberflus coming back. Like every week it's something.
Yeah, look, that's the nature of the beast, And when you are a $13 million head coach, and again, I like Ben as well. I think he's, give it time. He'll learn the art of being a head coach and not just a game planner and play caller. I do believe that he will find his way. I do like his staff. I like Dennis Allen. I like some of the guys that he has assembled. But they've got a bullseye. He's got a bullseye on his back. He's one of the highest paid head coaches in the National Football League. And, this is a tough business. So, keep your mouth shut, your head down. And don't tell me how hard you're going to work. Show me how hard you're going to work. Don't let anyone define you. And when you start winning ball games, then you can start talking to me. Until then, shut your mouth.
All right, here's our special team play of the game, brought to you by our great partners at Special Olympics Illinois. When voices tell us you can't or you won't, we simply say, I did. Special Olympics Illinois. So I did. Learn more at SOILL.org. Okay, Olin, how the F are you kicking the first kick of the game out of bounds?
Again, man, I mean, the only thing would have been better if Pyro turned to the sideline and flicked everybody off after he hit it, right? Like, it was just, I mean, I didn't want to laugh, but I just started dying laughing, right? Because it was just, so much was, it was so crazy, man, that the special teams coaches say, well, I asked the player, right? I'm sorry. I thought you were the special teams coach. I'm confused here. Like, are we going to the game? I mean, you go through, just go to ChicagoBears.com. I've told you guys this a million times. Go through their staff. They have like 900 guys who do analytics work for the Bears. They have guys who do, they have football engineers. They give people titles. And I don't, like, at the last 2 years, I don't know what any of them do. Right, Cap? Like no one can head coach. No one can do all of this by themselves. Right. So if the head coach asks the special teams coach, can he kick it out of bounds? The special teams coach should know the answer already. Right. I don't have to go. If I'm the special teams coach, I don't go ask anybody. I know if my kicker can kick it out of bounds or not. Right. And then I have a plan for that moment of time. To me, that falls on the special teams coach. That's his job. That's why they call you the special teams coordinator. That's why they call you that. Right. Like I'm just, even like Ben Johnson challenging plays and time management, like there's so many people in that building that do that for the last 2 years. I'm just confused at where they all are.
Yeah, last week we had the challenge with Hawkinson clearly down. And I said, who's in the booth, Ray Charles? Yeah, challenge that one.
That one even wasn't even. I think that was more about understanding the rule versus actually what you saw. Because the ball is the player. Once the knee is down, even if you punch the ball before you punch the player, you got to know the rule that the ball is part of the ball carrier. So
yeah, I didn't know the rule, to be honest. I had no idea. Right, I had no idea that was the rule. But I'm not the data engineer for the Chicago Bears.
That's right.
Actually, I'm not an engineer of anything, right? I don't really. No one's ever called me an engineer. I tell you that much.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing today, and this is a weird thing maybe to say, but as you face Dallas, okay, guys, you got a defense is hurting. You're not playing well, and you got some injuries. This is where, and I don't know how your team was, Olin. I know you were really good on both sides of the football. In my day, we were really good on defense. We weren't very good on offense. So defense knew they had to carry the day. And when we had our backs against the wall, we knew the defense would step forward. I think this is a game, guys, honestly. Ben is here for a reason, okay? You've invested all that you've invested in this offense. This is a game where the offense has to say, fellas, we got your back. You know what? You guys have got some injuries in the back end. You're playing a really good offense. You know what? We got you. Play your game. Do what you can. But this one's on us. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a Cowboy defense. There's no Micah Parsons. There's no Deron Bland. The Giants, for Christ's sake, put 40 on them and Russ threw for 400 yards on them. This is a game where the offense, I get it. You're still learning everything. But this is a game where the offense has to say, fellas, let us lead. We got you. We got you.
It'll be really interesting. First of all, I appreciate Tom talking about only 2 of my 14 years in my career, but when we were really good, other than that, we were just like you guys.
What I said was you were good on both sides of the ball. So
I know. I said only 2 of those years we were good on offense, and then I was 3. I'll give myself the year in New Orleans, those 6 or 7 games. But I'm really interested this week, like you're saying, Tom. When you look at the matchup. Right, the offense, the defense is, the Cowboys have a lot of weapons where the Bears have been struggling. But I wonder what Eberflus thinks Caleb struggles with, and I wonder if he puts on film. Right, I wonder if he comes after him, what he thinks he can't see. So that is the number one thing I will be watching this week is the blitzes and the coverages and the schemes he throws at Caleb, because I'm sure he has, he had all those meetings before, right after he was doing his haircuts on Hard Knocks, and so I'm sure it'll be a very interesting game. But like you're saying, man, I mean, the defense just lost their best player. The Cowboys seem to match up well where the Bears are injured. I don't know what the story on Kyler Gordon is or TJ Edwards this week, but the offense, a lot of assets, man, on that side of the ball, and the head coach, right, and the head coach, play caller, and just like to see them lead the way, find those points, and win a football game.
All right, let's go over. I've got a question for both of you because of what Dallas is going to bring in here. It's our vertical catch of the game, and we referenced it earlier. Isaac Tesla making that play one-handed. It is the vertical catch of the game, vertical chimney care. Chicago's chimney experts for chimney cleanings, masonry work, gas logs. Make sure your chimney's in good working condition. It's key for the safety of your home and your family. And right now, save $150 on your chimney cleaning with Vertical. That comes with a free video inspection, and for added safety, they'll throw in a free dryer vent cleaning as well. Stay warm and safe when the cold temps come our way. Call Vertical today at verticalchimney.com. They bailed me out when my house caught on fire 2 winters ago. They completely redid my fireplace. Yeah, I had the fire department there. Oh, my God, it was a nightmare. But it is what it is, and that's why I went to Vertical. Okay, so CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, Jake Ferguson, Dak Prescott. I mean, where do you stop these guys with what we've got? I'm like, this may be 45-40.
Do you know where they're staying the night before? You get to the chef inside that hotel and you ask him to make sure that you do something a little different with their morning meal. That's what you do.
Like, how are they going to slow that track meet down, Olin?
Well, their starting center's out, right? Their starting center is out, and they're going to have to go with a backup this week and hopefully get pressure up front like we talked about last week. Now, the Detroit Lions offensive line is better than the Dallas Cowboys, and you're at home, and hopefully the crowd shows up and makes a lot of noise and makes it hard on the Dallas Cowboys to communicate up front. And whenever you lose your center in the middle of a line, and Zach Martin's not there anymore, he retired last year, so they had to go. I'm looking right now at they got Tyler Booker, a rookie there, Terrence Steele, right, Tyler Smith, very good left guard, and Tyler Glayton. These are not the world beater Dallas Cowboys offensive line that we've known. Right, so there is a matchup that I'd like to see Montez Sweat answer the question this week and tell us all to go shove it up or you know what. That'd be great, right? And it gets pressure and Odeo and all that money with the Grady Jarrett. Love to see him. He actually did have 2 pressures last week where he got to the quarterback both times the ball got out and it was a completion. That's the scary thing about the defense right now. Even when there's pressure, the quarterback is completing the ball. And Cap, your guy now, he has 2 career receptions.
Wow.
Isaac Tesla. Yeah. Listen, this isn't Mark Stepnowski and Larry Allen and Eric Williams, Mark Tuinei, and this is an offensive line that you should be able to, make some hay against. So, help out your secondary that's been depleted by getting some pass rush. And as I said, I think offensively, you got to control the game here. You really do. I would say, too, again, I mentioned it earlier, I'm going to be very interested to see if Dennis Allen decides to go away from what his tendency has been his entire career as a DC and just say, look, guys, I don't have the horses, so I'm going to have to sit back. And what we're going to try to do is keep everything in front of us and see if they can go the length of the field consistently over the course of 4 quarters. I don't know that he'll do that. I don't know that that's in his DNA, but that to me is one of the big questions. And, I said it earlier, fellas, I think that this is one of those games where the offense has to assume the vast majority of the heavy load they've got to carry. So, you know what? Buckle up, create some space in some running game, protect your quarterback, make some plays. Caleb, be on your game. And stop committing penalties. They've committed 20 penalties for 177 yards. Play clean and improve.
Oh, gee, your keys.
How many times has an analyst in Chicago said that the offense needs to lead the way? What do you think? What do you think? Not count them on one hand.
Yeah. 1, 2, maybe.
Yeah.
The key to the game, Cab, is the trenches, really, man. And obviously Caleb not making the critical mistakes, but the trenches on both sides of the ball. I like to see that interior, that offensive line along with Darnell Wright and Braxton Jones take over a game. Right, take over a game and get after a defensive line for the Dallas Cowboys that, since Parsons left, and I think they're signing Jadeveon Clowney this week, but a team that you can get after. And then we just talked about with Cooper Beebe out, the Dallas Cowboys starting center, and them having to reshuffle there up front. Again, all the money and assets we put in that defensive line, it'd be nice to watch the trenches take over a game and just say, man, we really dominated up front. That's why we won this game this week.
Isn't it really kind of simple, fellas? Honestly, your highest paid players, the guys that have been earn your checks this week. You know what I mean? Whether it's the defensive line or it's the offensive line, go out there and earn your pay. And don't. This team's not talented enough or hasn't shown that they're talented enough to overcome all of these self-inflicted wounds. 20 penalties. You can't do it. You can't give up the sacks. You can't turn the football over. You got to be clean. You got to be clean, and your playmakers and the guys that you've paid the hefty salaries, they've got to be the ones that carry the heavy load.
All right. Olin saves his pick for Sunday, so I'll have to make sure I've got him dialed up on my radio. Tommy, what is your pick?
I say this with hope in my voice, not so much, I don't know, confidence, but listen, the NFL is weird. Sometimes – a team shows up and maybe you're not expecting it. I think the Bears win a high-scoring game. I think that the Cowboys are struggling defensively. I'd say 34-31, Bears get their first victory of the year.
Wow.
Yeah.
That would be awesome, right? I mean, that would change so many storylines. They just need a win so bad up there at Halifax.
Yeah. You know what I say? I say all the time, Olin, and it's the product of my own stupidity, but you change the narrative by changing the narrative. It's really simple. You want all of us to stop picking on you and stop saying bad, shitty things about you. Go out there and do your job. And we all want you to win. We all want you to win. Go out there and do your job. And we'll all start saying nice things about you.
And even more than that, Cap, real fast. I just wanted to say this. There's if you lose games and we turn the film on and you kind of see what you want to see out of the team, guys getting better and getting better at what you're fine. It's just when you turn the film on and see what we've seen the last 2 weeks, it really pisses you off as an analyst.
Yeah. I said that earlier, Olin. I mean, what's worse than the 0-2 start is how they've lost. And when you watch them on film, it's what leaves you significantly more disappointed than the actual 0-2. If you would have lost that game to the Vikings and not collapsed, and if you had actually been competitive against the Lions going into a really difficult situation, all things considered, I think we'd feel different about this team. But you've got a collective collapse and a complete boat race, and that leaves you, even more concerned, I think.
As I let you guys go, do you remember the night the Bears took Torrey Taylor in the 4th round?
I called it the most arrogant draft pick I think I've ever seen.
You did. And Caleb immediately texted Torrey Taylor, and the text said, hey, man, you're not going to be punting too much around here. Since that day, Torrey Taylor has punted more than any punter in the NFL.
You have that one. You have that one friend that is always going to say something, and you see it in their face, and you're like, shh. That's something I have to do to the Bears every once in a while. Guys, just let's go play a game. Let's go win a football game. Let's stop talking about how intense and tough. I mean, Eberflus, I know we didn't talk about this much, but he's coming to town pissed off, man.
Yes,
those guys, he doesn't have a lot of bullets in his gun up there in Dallas, but they sold him down the river last year, man. It was 40 millionaires all pointing at one guy saying, I can't do my job because he's holding me back, man. It was something to watch.
It was. Guys, have a great night. We're getting a number of comments saying, so glad the show's back. So great to have Tom Waddle and Olin Kreutz here on Studio 41 Football Recap Live. Have a great night, gentlemen, and happy birthday, Leah, and go Illini.
Our family had been talking about redoing the kitchen for a long time. Studio 41 had all the pieces I wanted.
With Studio 41, we found their prices competitive. They helped us stay on a budget.
They spent a lot of time with me in the studio, and I got to touch and feel things.
Our big fear was if you go online, who's standing behind the product? Studio 41 had the best selection, and they took her ideas and brought it to life.
It was everything I dreamed it could be.
Visit studio41.com to find a showroom near you.
Okay, we're just here for dishwashers.
Just a dishwasher.
Studio 41 Football Recap Live is brought to you by Studio 41 Home Design Showroom. 13 locations, studio41.com. Vertical, in business since 1985. Chicago's chimney experts for chimney cleanings, masonry work, gas logs. Verticalchimney.com. Your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Chevy dealers, the official truck partner of the Chicago Bears. Hooters. At Hooters, originality isn't just one thing, it's everything. World-famous wings and more, served up by the iconic Hooters girl. Hooters, always original. Dr. Pepper, an American original, just like our Chicago Bears. Grab an ice-cold, refreshing Dr. Pepper today at a McDonald's near you. Special Olympics Illinois. Special Olympics Illinois, so I did. Learn more at SOILL.org. Apt. For the best appliances for football season, shop at Apt. Pleasing people since 1936. Find them at apt.com. Four Seasons, heating, plumbing, air conditioning, and electric. For all the right reasons, Four Seasons.